episode of On the Fin Side with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, as well as the finfanatic.com website and the Fansided Network. What a weird game today. The Dolphins win 42-38. So anybody who had the over, you definitely won that. I have an axe to grind with NFL Sunday Ticket because starting, I mean, it's one thing when your team is losing in the first half, Paul, but when your team is losing by 3 touchdowns, I'm even getting more upset. But when the Dolphins, and I'm not joking about this, when the Dolphins game came back on, it was 3rd and 13, and the Dolphins were down 28-7, and they came back and won the football game. Tua Tagovailoa throws for 469 yards, 6 touchdowns. He is on pace after 2 games. And of course, we're talking about a small sample size to throw for 6,282 yards. I mean, how much more of a fulfilling win can you get than the one that the Dolphins brought today to get to 2-0?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I mean, on top of that, I know you just brought up that what Tua did, but Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, the first pair and only pair of receivers in NFL history with, I think, 11 plus catches, 150 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns apiece. On top of that, the two of them, Tyreek Hill is on, like, and this is not sustainable, guys. We're gonna say that right here. Yep. I don't believe it is. But Tyreek Hill is on pace for 161 receptions for 2,414 yards and 17 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle's on pace for 127 receptions for 2,040 yards and 25 touchdowns. This is utter ridiculousness. People went from trying to trade Tua at halftime, which obviously going to happen, to literally say, Lamar Jackson put out an MVP caliber day, and Tua outshone him today. Good Lord.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is Lamar Jackson answered the call from the Dolphins defense. 21 for 29, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns passing. Not a good day for the Dolphins defense, especially in the first 3 quarters. And also on the ground, 9 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he had an axe to grind, and he grinded it today. And then with their back to the wall in a game where the Dolphins have been outscored 78-6 in the last 2 games in Baltimore, Tua Tagovailoa comes back and brings the Dolphins back with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to win the football game. Incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean, and lost in the mix here was the Dolphins running backs average 5.25 yards a carry against the Ravens defense. Mike Gesicki showed back up again in a big way, even though it was only 4 receptions. Tua completed passes to a number of guys. And while the defense didn't have a great day, they had some pretty key stout stops in this one. They had that goal line stand early against Baltimore. They stopped him on 4th down, 4th and short, after stopping him on 3rd and short. There were a lot of key moments for the defense, even though there were a lot of mistakes by the defense. And there were a lot of mistakes by everyone in the first half, but the defense also did help hold them in there after about halfway through the 3rd quarter when that energy kicked up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought the defense was caught off guard a lot, especially Landon Roberts, Brandon Jones, Kader Kohu, Melvin Ingram had 3 penalties. A lot of bad performances on defense. There's no getting around that, but let's celebrate. I mean, I don't get happy about, I like to think I'm pretty level-headed when it comes to the Dolphins. But when Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have Tyreek Hill had 11 catches for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle 11 for 171 and 2 touchdowns. This is not normal stuff at all.
No, and it was funny too because Tyreek's second touchdown, I remember seeing Miami go to that bunch trips formation to the right, and literally the entirety of the Ravens secondary, except for the one corner on Tyreek Hill on the other side of the field, all came over to defend that bunch formation to the right. And I just looked up at the top of the field, saw Tyreek by himself, and immediately thought, good Lord, Tua better see this, because God, you can't cover Tyreek one-on-one, especially with, sore legs, as we alluded to with the Ravens secondary. And it was ridiculous on that play.
And kudos also to Mike Gesicki. I was really happy for him in this game because that, the Dolphins are down 28-7, and that is a play in the back of the end zone that only a 6'6" tight end can make.
That can jump 6 feet in the air.
Yep. And Mike Gesicki made it. And if he doesn't make it, you're talking about still the Ravens being up 3 scores. And, I'm not saying Gesicki is worth the money that he's being paid or anything like that, but I was really happy to see him make a couple of plays today.
Today made him worth it. It absolutely did. If that's the bottom floor we see from Mike Gesicki in a game, and that's, if he stays close to that every week, that's worth 10 million to me, especially with the attention it takes away from guys like Waddle, guys like Hill, guys like Cedric Wilson, guys like Sherfield and Craycraft, who I don't know if that was Craycraft's first touchdown or not, but good Lord.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean, it's Tua slung the ball to a lot of different dudes today.
Man, I got to say, too, maybe I'm just in a good mood, but Alec Ingold.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
I love him. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about he outperformed. If we're talking about fullback versus fullback, he outperformed Patrick Ricard today.
Oh, I mean, that block downfield on Waddle's long reception, the key first down where he took the snap under center. Just so many little things from him that I loved in this game. Sorry.
And now things get fun from this point on, because you're talking about next week. I mean, we looked at these first 4 games realistically at the beginning of the season and said, it's going to be tough to beat New England in week 1. Going down to Baltimore is going to be tough. And it showed it was tough in the first half, and the Dolphins come back and they were down 3 touchdowns, and they're the only they're the only team over the last 12 years to come back in the third quarter or fourth quarter against a team and win after being down 3 touchdowns. I mean, it was a really hard game to win, and they won it.
Before you move on from that as well, I didn't hear if you gave this statistic, and I want to show just how improbable that is. Since the last time somebody came back from down 21 points, which I believe was 2010 or 2011.
2010, yeah.
711 times the team that was down 21 points lost the game.
Wow. I mean, and they did it. And now you look at the next 2 games. Buffalo at home. They're going to be an underdog. Buffalo's, in my opinion, still probably the best team in the league. And then you've got at Cincinnati on Thursday night after that. I mean, Cincinnati loses today to Dallas. I mean, 3-1.
Cooper Rush
is not out of. I didn't even see the game. I was so excited, and I had a couple other things to do, so I've got to go back and watch that game. But I mean, you're 3-1 is not out of the realm of possibility.
No, not at all. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, let's see where we get to with Buffalo. I mean, it's going to be a big litmus test. But again, if Tua comes out and slings 6 touchdowns in any game, we should be in it. I mean, Time, Greasy, and Marino for the record for the Dolphins. Let's go.
Yeah, and they're going to have they're not going to have Tre'Davious White in that game. their biggest cornerback. It's a well-coached team, and Buffalo still, in my opinion, is the best team in the league, but it's a winnable game. It really is.
Hey, Dolphin 316 just brought up in chat that Herbert has never had a 400-yard, 6-touchdown game.
He hasn't. He has not. And Justin Herbert's going to have a tough road ahead now because he has a hurt rib cartilage. And Matt Hasselbeck was talking about that the other day on ESPN. And the difference with a rib cartilage is you have to constantly contort your body and throw the ball as an NFL quarterback. It's one thing to have a hurt rib, but it's another thing to have rib cartilage where you're constantly in pain every single throw when you're a quarterback that throws the ball 630 to 700 times a year.
Yeah, no, it's every motion, every breath hurts, and it's a stabbing pain, not necessarily a constant pain. So that's an interesting one there.
Yep. Chargers always find their way to injure themselves to 8 or 9 wins. So let's see if they do it again. It again, exciting where the Dolphins are here today. So other factors in the game here. Opening kickoff, Devin Duvernay takes it untouched to the end zone. And I looked at that and I thought, how could you allow a Pro Bowl kick returner to take the ball to the house? That's something Danny Crossman has to answer for. But the Dolphins responded to that. But that was way too easy. Way too easy.
Yeah, it was. And it looked like for some reason the coverage, a lot of the coverage broke to the left. And unfortunately, the Pro Bowl kick returner saw that there were a few lanes to the right. I mean, he raced untouched. Like, it's, you can't cover a kick if you leave one side of the field a little barren. Sorry.
Yep. With you on that. So let's get to our grades position by position here. Quarterback, Tua. I'm going to throw it to you first.
Horrible first half, but 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, come from behind victory from down 21 points, never losing his cool, walking around the sideline like he needed that wheelbarrow that Tyreek talked about a week ago with McDaniel. I'm going to give Tua an A+ for this one, even though there were some issues early.
I'm going to go with an A. I don't throw out A+ as frequently as you do.
Well, at 469 yards and 6 touchdowns, you can delete the first half when that happens.
Also,
down 21. Come on.
If he threw for 506 touchdowns and no interceptions, then I would match you on the A+. But I loved the game from Tua. I mean, this was a menacing game from this guy. And even the 2 interceptions weren't all that bad. I mean, he was trying to fit the ball into tight spaces. So, yeah. I mean, 36 for 50, 469, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Absolutely. Running back. What I appreciated with what the Dolphins did is they stuck with the running game and they did those inside zone toss plays throughout the game. And I really like that because they could have easily abandoned that and just had Tua just dropping back on every single play. And they didn't. And they ended the game from Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, 16 carries for 84 yards.
Yep.
So a healthy yard per carry.
yards per carry.
Yeah. Healthy yards per carry. I mean, so I thought, and also just having those 2 players out there, having Mostert and Edmonds out there with their speed means that they're going to at least give the defense something to think about because of their speed. And so when you're averaging 5 yards a carry and you're also challenging the defense and having them think about something that, is certainly something that, from a matchup standpoint, makes a lot of sense. Alec Ingold, I thought, was fantastic in pass protection. And yeah, so overall, running back, I'm going to go with a B plus.
Well, and you can add to that too, the play by Alec Ingold as well. I mean, blocking downfield, like I alluded to earlier. The fact that they also added 6 receptions for 50 plus yards between the 3 of them, and all the stats you mentioned, easily a B plus here. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is Chase Edmonds on that last drive had a huge key run where he just saw the lane and went, which was unbelievable.
Yep, absolutely. Wide receiver, tight end, I'm going to throw it to you.
Wide receiver and tight end, the only real complaint I have is the fact that, and I'm going to go to Durham Smythe with this one. It's a little bit of a ding, but he was on the left side of the line and basically just allowed a free shot at Tua on that 1 sack. They blitzed again on that same side from the outside, and no one picked up again the next play. And that looked like it was going to be something that really ruined the day as far as it went in the first half. But beyond that, I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle buoy this grade big time. So does Mike Gesicki. River Craycraft's first NFL touchdown. Trent Sherfield getting in on the act. Like, this was a fun day for the receivers and the tight ends, including what I alluded to earlier with the fact that they're the only tandem at wide receiver in history with 11 plus catches, 150 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns apiece. You've got 6 touchdowns between the wide receiving and tight end core. I've got to give a second A plus here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm giving them an A plus too, because nobody can do what these guys do. Tyreek Hill, 11 for 190, 2 touchdowns, and you also have the pedigree of being a 4-time Pro Bowler. Jalen Waddle, I thought, had even a more impressive game than Tyreek Hill did, because he caught passes in traffic, and that he doesn't catch that 59-yard pass when the Dolphins are down 7-0. When Tua drops back in his own end zone, I'm not sure if the Dolphins get out of anything in this game.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a big key play. The fact that he avoided defenders going down the sideline. The fact that, he read that block by Ingold that sprung him for more.
Yep.
I thought he ran tough today once he had the ball in his hands. I thought Tyreek ran tough today when he had the ball in his hands. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and to me, everything. I mean, Mike Gesicki, like we talked about, skying high and catching that pass as a 6'6" tight end
that could have caught that.
Yeah,
He
he really is, and that's not saying he's a complete player, but he made that catch, and there were special things that happened. A plus. Offensive line, Greg Little. I have to go back and look at what happened here snap by snap in the game, because offensive line is a position that I jumped to conclusions on, but I saw an immediate upgrade at right tackle. Connor Williams was a beast inside. And you look at that Chase Edmonds run late in the game, that 26-yarder. Robert Hunt, phenomenal inside. And you want to talk about just a gem, just a pro. Teron Armstead at the left tackle position. I mean, I've got to get for the pass protection and for the running game that opened up late in the game. I've got to give this offensive line an A minus. And it's probably the first A that I've given this offensive line in 4 years.
I will give the offensive line an A here without the minus on it. The 1 sack of Tua today came through Durham Smythe, not the offensive line. The running game averaged 5.25 yards a carry. They gave Tua time left and right to really pick through his progressions. And I have no complaints when it comes to the offensive line. The snaps are on point from Williams. Everybody along the offensive line did well. I mean, and I think it was on the short touchdown to Jalen Waddle where Liam Eichenberg pulled out there and just cleaned somebody the hell out to clear the pathway for Waddle to the end zone. And I have zero complaints about the line today. It's an A.
I like what I saw between Connor Williams and Teron Armstead in the middle, but Liam Eichenberg between Armstead and Connor Williams. Absolutely. I mean, he looked like an improved player. So this offensive line seems like it's coming together. On the defensive side of the ball, it's a little bit more ugly, but I still have confidence in this defense moving forward. The interior defensive line I like today, and the biggest play was Christian Wilkins on the goal line when the Dolphins were up or down 7-0. I mean, when it's 4th and 1 on the goal line, on the 1 yard line, on the half-inch line, and he takes a snap. Lamar Jackson takes a snap. There are so many different avenues that he could take. And Christian Wilkins just reached over and punched the ball out. What a play on that. And then after that, Tua connects with Jalen Waddle for 60 yards. And that changed the game at that point. So that's a big play. Zach Sealer also gets some revenge on his team, on his old team from the Ravens, the team that drafted him. Raekwon Davis had an okay game. But it really depends on what we're talking about as far as the defensive line, because Jalen Phillips was okay. Melvin Ingram had a really bad game on the edge.
But he did have some key plays. He really did. Like in the second half, there were a couple of key plays where Melvin got through and did a few things.
Yeah, so let's take this as the front seven. Okay.
Yep.
For the front seven, I'm going to give them a C, because Christian Wilkins had a good game. I mean, I obviously had some big time plays, but at the end of the day, when you look at what Lamar Jackson was able to do, and there was not a lot of pressure, I can't give them any higher than C.
And that C's fair. What I will say too, and you alluded to Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer had one of the other key critical plays for the defense in this game. When he stuffed Lamar Jackson, when Lamar had that first down as a gimme, and if it was anybody else, he probably would have gotten there. And Zach Sealer did not have the right positioning for the leverage we wanted to see. But he managed to get a hold of him, flip his hips a little bit, and muscle him back and keep him from getting that first down, which kept Miami in that game there. Jalen Phillips would have had the only sack of the day had he not been held, which they did call on the play, when he was scot-free past the edge and almost to Lamar. And yeah, we didn't see a lot of pressure from the Dolphins defensive line today and from their front seven. But at the same time, they were flushing Lamar a little bit. And again, it's you look at what the Ravens started doing, where they were bringing Daniel Falele in to try to slow people down coming off the edge. They were bringing in linemen to try to slow people down coming off the edge. And they were giving up receivers to try to prevent the Dolphins pass rush.
Yeah, and I want to make a point here too, because John in the chat made this. Landon Roberts, I thought, was embarrassing today. Embarrassing. He was a bad football player all around.
Mostly.
And What play did he make though? I mean,
He had at least 2 plays where he knifed through and stopped it on 3rd and short one play. And then there was another short yardage situation where he knifed through and made the play.
all right. I have to look at that more closely. That play that Rashad Bateman touchdown. Of course, he's not. Landon Roberts is not supposed to be, going downfield with Rashad Bateman, but he should be getting an angle on him to force him back to the inside. And I mean, there were several plays today that when things were wide open, it was because of a Landon Roberts. That 75-yard touchdown run from Lamar Jackson. You watch that on film, that's a Landon Roberts. And he just can't do it. I mean, if it's not 3rd and 4th and 1, the guy can't play.
And we've talked about this with Landon Roberts before. He's a guesser. And he goes 1,000 miles per hour towards where his guess was. And sometimes you're making a stop on 3rd or 4th and 1. Sometimes you're leaving a big giant gaping hole for, I don't know, Lamar Jackson to race 76 yards through. It's goofy to me. And the other goofy thing to me as well was it felt like they were trying a little bit too hard to play every linebacker they have with Channing Tindall out. Jerome Baker, I felt like they put him out of position, trying to get a little too cute on defense, especially in the first half. I think they had Duke Riley, and while he did have a big stop in his very limited action, Sam Eguavoen also, like, use your guys, play your game. Like, don't outsmart yourself as far as that goes on defense. And I think they did a little more of it in the first half than they did in the second half.
Yeah, linebacker, off-ball linebacker has always been the Dolphins' weak point heading into the season. I mean, it's not a massive weak point, but if there's one position that you have to look at, it's definitely that linebacker position. But defensive back, I've got to look more closely at a couple of plays that happened with Xavier Howard, because I tend to believe that Xavier Howard is a phenomenal player.
You tend to be right.
Yeah. I mean,
but a phenomenal player can also have off day or an off play here and there. Like, he's going to allow a play once in a while, and that was a speedy ass receiver. And the unfortunate thing is, I want to say, was it Duvernay on that play?
no, that was Rashad Bateman on that 75-yard touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, Bateman on a 40-yard straight line dash is faster than Xavier Howard. Once he gets away from him, X is probably not going to catch up. I mean, that's 4.5 versus what, 4.3.5?
Yeah, I don't mean to, split hairs here, but Rashad Bateman, 4 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown. One of them was a 75-yard touchdown. Was that Howard's fault, or was that somebody else's fault?
I think he's probably expecting safety help, but that's not a play he'll normally let up, at least in that short area. I mean, he almost.
Yes, I know.
Put the game away. But
Dolphins
actually,
down.
Before we talk too much about the corners,
yeah.
Before you mentioned off-ball linebackers, but we didn't do, or were we including them in that front 7 grade?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll give my front 7 grade. I'm going to go with a C+. All
right, I'm going to go with a C-. I'm going to go with a C-. And defensive back, I expect more. And I'm looking for more when Byron Jones returns in 2 weeks. Hopefully the Dolphins are going to be 3-1 at that point. I'm going to go with a D+.
I don't think I'm going to go with a D+, but I'm going to go with a C- here. I think Brandon Jones had one of his worst days as a Dolphin. Javon Holland didn't make as many plays as we're accustomed to with him. Xavier Howard did let up that big play. Nick Needham wasn't great. Cater Co, who I thought was decent. Eric Rowe was okay-ish. And Keon Crossan I thought looked the part when he got in the game. But yeah, it wasn't good enough from the secondary. But again, man, we won the damn game. Let's get past the secondary here.
No, I mean, the secondary is good. And this is a weird type of offense to play. I mean, when you're basically playing a wildcat type of offense, yeah, it's a little bit different, you know. So I'm okay with my grade on it, but I also can't, you know, when you're talking about 21 for 29, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and also, you know, that quarterback also runs for 119 yards. I can't give them higher than a D plus. Can't do it.
And somebody brought up Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe wasn't on the field for every snap, but again, Mark Andrews did have a pretty good day. But I think I mean, Mark Andrews is a phenomenal tight end, but I think they started playing all right, let's see if Mark Andrews can beat us. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to sometimes make those decisions. Like, we're going to let Mark Andrews get a little bit to prevent other things. So in that case, like, yeah, Eric Rowe did okay on Andrews when he was in, but Andrews did have 109 yards receiving. You're going to see a lot of that in a shootout game like this one was.
Yep. Special teams, really good from the Dolphins punter.
Thomas Morstead. Yep. Thomas Morstead did have a good day. Jason Sanders was all right. But again, that huge momentum swing early on brings this grade down drastically when you allow that opening kickoff return for a touchdown, even though they buttoned it up a little bit after that fact.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah.
So we gotta go with a D plus here for me.
Yeah. I actually, yeah. I'm gonna match you on the D plus. Morstead, yes.
This is a grade Morstead and Sanders don't deserve, but it's a D plus.
Yeah, because nothing else happened. Nothing else happened on the on special teams other than Devin Duvernay taking it back to the house. But Morstead is a stud. I mean, he punted the ball twice, one inside the 20-yard line and the other one a long punt. So he's a stud. And but yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So as far as player of the game goes, Kat, I'll let you go first on this one. I have a sneaking suspicion who you're going to say, but who you got for your player of the game for the Dolphins?
There's so many to choose from here. For the first time in the history of this podcast, I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa.
All right, since you went with Tua, I am going to do something different for the first time in my history of this with this podcast, and I'm going to go with the new record holders, and I say holders plural, and I'm going to give co-MVP to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle because the two of them combined, holy crap, they had a day. I mean, it was a record-setting day, and they are the sole wide receiver tandem in NFL history, as I pointed out earlier, with 11 plus receptions, 150 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns apiece between them. It's utterly, I mean, that's an utterly ridiculous, amazing day from that wide receiver tandem that we looked at last week and said, wow, they did pretty good. And then this week, it's literally, you know, the two of them combined for over 360 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 22 receptions, I believe it was, off the top of my head.
Yes, like, 22 receptions. And typically, I would not care for you pairing the player of the game, but this is called for here.
Yeah,
because
you can't separate
of what the Dolphins. That's, I mean, that's the reason they won the game. That's they came back from 3 touchdowns down for the first time in NFL over the last 13 years because of Jalen Waddle and because of Tyreek Hill. And Tua did it too. Here, let's go. Here, WCW belt. We're putting it on the shoulder here.
All yes, right? Let's go.
Let's go.
So Cat,
6 touchdowns, 470 something yards passing. I love it. I love every freaking second of it. My Sunday ticket blurted out. I love it. I love it.
Look, Sunday ticket was looking out for you, Cat. They said, we don't want you to get too angry here. We're just going to turn off this little part here while the Dolphins are losing, and we'll come back on in time for you to watch the comeback. That's what they said today. I think it was a direct memo from DirecTV on that one.
Let's go. Let's go. And next week, we're going to beat the Buffalo Bills too. We're going to beat the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Wait. We got another thing we got to do here, and it brings us down a level. But since you're in cut a promo mode, who's your Coke Bus player today, Kat?
Coke Bus player, Landon Roberts. I blame him partially. I blame him for a lot of plays, but he should have forced the receiver back to the inside, Rashad Bateman, and he didn't. It's really hard with him because he's the best player in the NFL on 3rd and 1, but he's such a liability in the passing game that I just can't get over it. And this game really hurt his reputation.
The Terrell Buckley of linebackers, baby. Terrell Buckley of linebackers. I don't hate it. Mm-hmm. I don't hate that pick. For me, this is kind of a tough one today. I'm going to actually go with Cedric Wilson because while everybody else got in on the party, and I know he was nursing an injury, Cedric did exactly nothing but sit out there as a decoy occasionally in the slot or split out. Like zero on a day that Tua Tagovailoa gets 469 yards and is showing so much affection to 2 individuals. There's Cedric Wilson just standing there, unable to get open. I don't recall seeing him open all day. Not once. And he wasn't drawing the best corners on an injury depleted secondary. Like River Craycraft got in on the action. Trent Sherfield got in on the action. Cedric Wilson, where the hell are you, dude?
Yeah. This was the game for Cedric Wilson to make plays because Nickelback, Brandon Stevens was unexpectedly not a player that practiced all week and wasn't in the game. Kyle Fuller played 80 of 84 snaps of the Ravens this past week and did not play any in this game because he went on IR. This was a game for Cedric Wilson to come in and at least make a couple of catches, and he did not.
Yeah.
So, but let's not take away what's going to happen here next week. The Dolphins.
You got to give me a, let me tell you, brother, like, or something.
The Dolphins are going to beat the Buffalo Bills. Come on. It seems like a Buffalo Bills type of loss. I'm going to say 38-21 Dolphins. Tua threw us for another 6 touchdowns.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Kat. For me, I am going to go. I think Miami can pull this out 31-27. It is going to be a shootout in this one. This may change drastically after the Bills play tomorrow night because, as San Francisco can tell you, you can lose your starting quarterback at any time for the year. But again, let's not take away from the party of today right now. Let's talk. Let's enjoy this win, Dolphins fans. If you're up in New England like me, wander around with your Dolphins stuff on tomorrow. Wave to all your Patriots friends. You know, it's
See,
a fun time to be a Dolphin fan.
I want to
man.
make it clear though, too. I'm not a fanboy. When the Dolphins, though, go 2-0 against two quality opponents, against the Patriots and against the Ravens, and they come back the way they did today, and the quarterback that has to prove something throws for 6 touchdowns and almost 500 yards, yeah, you're damn right I get excited. That's the only time I get excited. And that's going to do it for our breakdown of the Ravens versus the Dolphins here today, because the Dolphins won. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, and the Fan Said It Network and finfanatic.com. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left